Hey y'all, welcome back to Rhinesburg. Today's episode we'll be working on the Waterfront district along with a few other things. Starting off the episode, I've replaced the San Francisco trams with the generic colorable ones, so now we can finally get the red, white, and blue color scheme I've been wanting. So thanks to an Apple for giving me a heads up on the recolorable versions of those. I don't think it would look as good without them. I mean, look at them. It's just a nice pop of color through the kind of the lush greenery of the city. I think it's a very nice touch. Although one thing I will say is I currently don't have recolor on. I've been trying to troubleshoot some issues I've been having with getting the game to start. So with that being said, I had to go through and manually replace everything. So if you see some buildings that aren't the right color or some vehicles that aren't the right color, that's why. But moving on, I need to actually name the districts we have. I have them all here, but I've not actually named them. So obviously downtown Rhinesburg, we'll have Rhinesburg Waterfront, and then the Rhinesburg Waterfront Industrial below us. I don't think I named that here. Primrose Creek, I kind of just went off on a whim. I'm naming it Calvin. It's, I don't know, I kind of like it. It has a nice ring to it. The park area, that's where I'm planning to do some kind of, I don't know, Central Park area. It's sitting on Empire Street, and I kind of like the name Empire Street, so we're just gonna name this Empire Street, and could be like the Times Square region, I guess you could say, of the city. The new renovation areas, I'm gonna name this Newtonia. I don't. Let me know what you guys think about the names in the comments, but I kind of like them. Okay, but now 2 minutes into the video, let's actually start the build. So originally, I did not plan for this to turn out to be sort of a stadium district, but I don't know. Look at this. The Lincoln Field just fits perfectly between these two bridges. And so I mean, look at that. It's humongous. It's overshadowing the Waterfront Industrial District for sure. But I like it a lot. So we're going to replace all these little buildings I was kind of dropping down. We'll flatten out all the area here, even into the water, and kind of connect it up to this little island in the middle of the river. It narrows the river quite a bit actually, but honestly, it's not like I was gonna have any cargo routes through that part of the river anyways, so, you know, a little bit of land reclamation never hurt anybody, right? So I'll just delete the roads up there. I'll flatten everything out to this level. Looking back at it, I don't know. It might be a little too high for some of the land right up against the river, so I might drop it down a little bit in the future. But for now, it looks good. And for this bridge, to simplify it, I'm just going to connect it right at the end here, and then just have a nice ground level road. Not exactly the height of realism, but look at all the space we have now. And then for a smooth transition, I'll just slope all of this floor here up to the top like that. And then I need to connect my key walls up again. Once again, I'm using the concrete leisure pier instead of like the actual key walls. I just like the look of it. It's a little bit different than the key wall. I like how it doesn't really terraform the ground underneath it, so I can have nice little slopes up. And then here I'm thinking add a sidewalk to connect the two for a more efficient path for pedestrians. And then we can have a little park in between the sidewalk there and the river. Just a nice little place for people to hang out. I'm gonna get rid of the light right off the bridge, and later on I'll add in a crosswalk at that sidewalk with the light, just so that more people can, be off the bridge before a light hits. And then filling in the space here, I had really no rhyme or reason for how I was doing this, just trying to figure out what I wanted here. And I think I've come up with something very Newport inspired. If you've ever been to Newport, Kentucky, just across the river from Cincinnati, there's this little, it's not necessarily a boardwalk, but it's right by the river. They have like this entertainment district, I guess you could say. There's an aquarium there, a lot of bars, food, drink, you name it, that kind of stuff. Except I'm thinking, first of all, I have the aquarium here, but then it's going to be more of a town center shopping mall kind of thing. I'll add a parking garage for both the stadium and the town center itself. I think that's pretty much a plus, and it'll be right up against this road here. Just fence that off so nobody drives out. And there we have the Mermaid Tea Lounge and the brewery. I think that's nice. Just behind that, we're gonna have a little bit of a new age renovation apartments. And across the street from that is the Horizon Lounge, I wanna say. It'll be a nightclub bar thing. Very hip for, probably very high monthly rent, but hey, you're where all the action's at, so can't really complain too much. In the middle of these pedestrian streets, I'll put down the Steakhouse signature building, and I'll add in some Baroque apartment buildings. I think it makes it a little interesting. It kind of reminds me of a street you'd find in like a Disney theme park, with the very specific architecture between the European Old Town and Baroque buildings. Realistically, these would probably just be some historic buildings from probably German immigrants in the late 19th century. It would seem Rhinesburg has a very active historian community given the historic Bakersfield and now these sets of buildings here. And here's kind of a controversial building. This, I think it's a Renaissance hotel. It's kind of extremely tall in comparison to the rest of the buildings on this part of the riverbank. So let me know what you think. But other than that, I gotta add in the Cheesecake Factory, a staple for any kind of shopping center. Next to it, I'm going to add in the Apple Store, another staple for any kind of shopping center. On the other side, I'll be adding in the Buffalo Wild Wings, AT&T store, and I think the Cold Stone Creamery. These are all from Combat Sandals' new assets he's been releasing, along with these strip mall assets. Amazing work, so I love adding them to this part of town. And in this space right here, I'm going to add the bakery and confectionery. I imagine this is a really old bakery that's been renovated over the years, and so now it's just this sleek, modern looking building that really matches the current town center. Probably brings in a lot of tourists to the areas, as well as providing a lot of goods to the surrounding town. So this intersection here is a mess. You will see me change it multiple times throughout this episode. I don't know what to do with it. I know I want that connection there because it's kind of funky and it's kind of necessary to keep traffic out of the town center itself. But man, do I struggle with the lane mathematics here. So don't be surprised if in another scene or two it looks completely different from how it is now, because I don't know, I'm working it out. Once again, I'll be adding another kind of newer modern apartment complex right here. I think this would also be a very nice spot for people to live, real close to the action, literally right on the same street as the aquarium and all these shops. Perfect place for some younger people, probably, in college or whatever, just looking for an exciting place to live. And I'll come through and add some of this Dutch red brick decal. I like it a lot. Honestly, for me in this city, it kind of just shows what used to be an old road and, is now more modernized. Okay, now this spot right here, I'm sure you've probably seen a few different buildings here. I wasn't sure what to add here as well, but I settled on these two buildings here. I like these a lot. I think I had them other locations previously, but I just didn't like how it looked, so I've moved them. And I think they look really nice here. They're like sibling buildings, so I wanted them to be together. But I think it just adds something this spot was missing. And speaking of missing, I'm filling in some of these holes here, bringing the decals into some of the green space that's not necessarily backyard or park. Speaking of parks, I'm going to add this tiny park here and then just bring the surface up to match it so that it's all cohesive. And look at that. It looks like a little cozy shopping center. Taking a step back just for a moment, I mean, look at the size of this expansion to the city. And I don't really know if this is the best usage for the waterfront, but I like it. Okay, now the rest of this street down here is pretty much going to be a showcase to a bunch of new assets that have been coming out over the past couple weeks, such as Smiley's row houses, as well as Joe Geski's Victorian homes. I just love all of these assets. They are just so much better than, honestly, anything vanilla you could find. So it's becoming harder for me to justify using any of the vanilla row homes. Especially when, look at these assets. It's just too good to pass up. Looking down this street, it's just asking for a tram. So what I'm going to do is bring the tram all the way from that connection there, and I'm going to bring it down this street in through the town center, and then it can connect back up to the rest of the network in the industrial waterfront and downtown. Okay, and because typically I'm pretty terrible at managing these lines, what I'm going to do is separate it into 3 different lines. There's going to be this waterfront line right here that connects through the waterfront, and then it will make a connection over here in the old government district. The historic loop, I'm actually going to move the tram stops over here, connect the historic loop stops here as well. Delete these. And then our third line will be the downtown line, starting in the waterfront industrial and it will hit all these stops in downtown before ending in the old district connection triangle that we have. And I should point out, only the historic loop will have those generic San Francisco trams that are painted red, white, and blue. The rest of the lines right now are just going to have those New Jersey trams. Those will just be painted red, I think, just due to the color of the asset. But let me know what you think. Do you like only the generic streetcars in the historic loop almost as a tourist attraction? Or should I add it to all the lines? I don't really know. Here what I'm making is sort of an abandoned warehouse lot at the tip of this pier. I'm using the German police station garage extensions as like a static ploppables because I think it just looks really nice for like an old warehouse look. And I'll just go through them all with a palette in the color function native to the game now, just to make them a little bit different from the actual objects themselves. Really missing the recolor paintbrush function right now. But there's some faded red doors, some gray bricks. They still have the orange roofs, which I'm okay with. I think it looks nice. Add in some overgrown grass into this lot. And then to top it all off, I think what I'm going to do is add an old railroad track that used to come through here, but not anymore. I use a dirt net lane to give it a little bit more color than the kind of ugly vanilla color. And then along the side of the road, I'm going to add some of the Midwest homes, the 2x2 lots. I don't really know why homes would be over here, but maybe at some point this pier was kind of foreclosed earlier than everything else, so these home buyers bought these lots maybe in like the 50s, 60s or something like that. Using the new paint tool, I will just sprinkle in some dirt all over the place, make it look real run down. And yeah, it looks nice. Top it all off, give it some decals, and then I'll go back through with a little bit more vegetation. Okay, now this spot here, I want something here, but I don't know what. So what I'm going to do is make a construction site using a lot of props, and once I know what I want here, I'll just delete all this and add it. So this pretty much completes my waterfront for now. But what I need to do now is build my inner city. Right here in Calvin, I need to figure out a transition from the downtown to our historic Bakersfield. And so what better way to really start this off than to add another church, this time St. Optimus the Primes. I think this looks awesome. I just love this church. And the modularity of it means I can place this a bunch of times throughout the city. So just going to start that off for starters. Then I'm going to use a lot of the Pittsburgh homes and some of the Midwest homes and just make a sort of transition from the downtown area into our historic Bakersfield. I need to make a pretty swift drop in height from high and medium density down to this low density. So that's what I'm going to try to do closer to the church. This right here is sort of just like I guess you could say a template for how the rest of this neighborhood's going to go. I'll add in a elementary school and this new post office. I really like this. It looks very nice. Figure I'll put that right next to our DMV. So for Calvin being an inner city district, I'm trying to recreate the sort of I don't really know how to say it. I guess the run down look of an inner city. You know, they've been mistreated. All the wealthy residents have left due to some pretty bad practices that have led to the systematic dismantling of the inner city, basically, what you could say. So to recreate that, I'm going to use a lot of decals, props, the paint tool especially. But for now, I'm just gonna work on this transition spot. But you know what? On the bright side, Calvin has a Blockbuster that is open for business. So, I don't know. Let's just stop for a second and admire the paintbrush tool. That is awesome. The modularity you can have with it is so nice. And look, like, just being able to bump the strength down and just have little splotches of dirt come through the grass, it really adds a lot. Like, so much more than I could do with a surface. Like, a surface would take all day, but with this brush, I could just do it in like a second. So, not too shabby, Ice Flake. And then, I gotta put some for sale signs to show how bad it really is over here. Foreclosures, people moving out of the neighborhood. But maybe it's not all bad. In an attempt to revitalize this area, the city has granted a new town center along the hillside here. Best Buy as one of the staples, Barnes & Nobles as another one, and a strip mall with all your favorite stores in it as well. The challenge with this was I'm literally building into the hillside, so I kind of have to find a nice compromise. Like, these stores fit okay here, but then you look and the back of the building is literally up against the hill, so I kind of had to bump it back a little bit. I'm not going to put a road back there, but I'll put a decal to show that's where delivery cars can go. And then what town center is complete without its parking? So I'll be using a lot of surface parking here, using some alleyways, as well as some of the El Gendo parking lots. These things are so nice. It's just so easy to work with. This town center basically has two sides of it, one facing Best Buy, the other facing the Barnes & Nobles and the strip mall. So basically, half the parking lot will be facing the Best Buy, the other half will be facing the strip mall and Barnes & Nobles, and then they can fight over who parks where. And then I realized I've never shown this city at night. So here's what it looks like at night. Look at that, the parking lot's all lit up. We look at the city and wow, it's very bright. I just honestly, it actually feels like it runs worse. It looks nice, but I think I like it in daytime better. Alright, but that about does it for this episode. I didn't show the whole building of Calvin, but I mean, you get the point. I showed the one street and then I basically applied that same kind of design look to the rest of it. But we got a lot done today. We've expanded the waterfront dramatically. We've added a new town center in, added a lot of nice mods into the game, especially for businesses. And the city just looks more filled out. It's nice to actually have some stuff connecting Bakersfield to downtown. And yeah, look at Calvin. It's looking a little rough. Maybe we can get it to see some, better days in the future. But for now, thank you all for watching, and I hope you all have a good one.